When we first got married, everything seemed perfect. We were in that stage where we were still getting to know each other better. We were learning how to live together and adjusting to our new life as a married couple. But there was something odd that started happening with my wife right after our wedding. Every night, around midnight, she would wake up. It wasn't for anything urgent or a typical reason, but to feed our cat. I noticed this strange behaviour happening every single night, and for a long time I didn't ask her about it. I just let it be. In hindsight, I realised that was my mistake. We were still newly married, so I figured maybe it was just a weird habit or something she had gotten used to. But over time, I began to see that she wasn't quite herself. She became distant and quieter. She was awake more often at night, while I tried to get my sleep. I decided to ask her what was going on. But when I did, she hesitated before replying. She told me, "I need a cat." I wasn't exactly thrilled about the idea. I didn't really like cats, and we had never really discussed having pets during our relationship. So I told her that I didn't like them. She responded by saying that she had always loved animals, and she had mentioned it when we were dating. I remembered that she had indeed talked about wanting pets, but I didn't remember her saying anything about a cat. So I gently reminded her, "You never specifically mentioned cats." With a little smirk, she replied, "You never asked what kind of pets I like." We stood there in silence, both thinking different things. I didn't quite know how to respond to that. The conversation left me thinking that maybe I should have asked more questions about her interests before we got married. After that conversation, my wife didn't seem the same. She wasn't as lively as before. It was like something had shifted in her. I felt like I was losing the wife I had married. A few days passed and I finally gave in. I said, "All right, I'll get you a cat." She looked at me, surprised that I had agreed so easily. Then she softly responded, "No, I'll get it myself. I know exactly what I want." That evening she returned with a large black cat. It stayed in the corner of the house. It was quiet, just watching everyone. My wife told me that the cat preferred the dark. I didn't like the feeling of having the cat there. The atmosphere in the house felt heavy, and it was hard to ignore the strange vibe. That night, after midnight, I woke up to find her quietly getting out of bed. She left the room as usual. The same thing happened every night. After the third night of this, I decided to ask her where she was going. "Where are you going?" I asked. She froze for a moment, then turned to me with a smile. "The cat is hungry," she replied. "I can hear it." I listened for a second, but there was nothing. I turned back to the bed and went back to sleep, feeling confused. After that night, everything began to feel different. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. A few days later, I started to notice something strange. Every time I came home from work, I would feel a sudden wave of exhaustion. It wasn't normal, and it seemed to come out of nowhere. I would try to stay awake, but no matter what I did, by 7 p.m. I couldn't keep my eyes open. But one night, something changed. It was exactly midnight, and I woke up suddenly. When I looked to my side, the bed was empty. I tried to go back to sleep, but it was like something inside me told me to get up. I didn't want to, but I couldn't ignore it. I got out of bed and walked toward the living room. When I turned on the light, I froze. The cat darted away, moving so fast it was almost unnatural. As this happened, I saw my wife standing there, holding a cup to her lips. She drank whatever was in the cup quickly. Before I could react, she stood up and smiled at me. "Honey, you're awake?" she asked lightly. Oh, thanks for switching on the light. I thought it was broken. I was just about to head back to the room. Are you okay? Her voice was calm, but there was something in her eyes that felt different. It was like she was trying to read my face, trying to figure out what I had seen or what I might say, but I didn't say anything. My mind was racing. I didn't understand what was happening. I wanted to ask her more about the cat and what she was drinking, but the words just wouldn't come. I had no answers, only more questions. I went back to bed without saying a word, but deep down I knew I couldn't ignore this anymore. Something was wrong, and I needed to find out what. The next morning, my wife was unusually cheerful. She made jokes, cooked my favourite meal, and kept looking at me as if waiting for me to bring up the events from the night before. But I didn't mention it. I pretended everything was normal. But inside I felt uneasy. I felt like something was deeply wrong. That afternoon, while she was out, I took action. I decided to sell the cat. I didn't tell her. I figured that if the cat was part of what was happening, getting rid of it might expose the truth. When I sold the cat, I felt a strange sense of relief. It wasn't that I believed everything was over, but I felt like I was getting closer to understanding what was going on. That night, I waited. We ate dinner and watched a movie. She didn't say anything about the cat or the strange events. It was as if everything was normal again. But just as I was about to stand up and get some juice,
Please watch the full video on YouTube with the link in my comment section or the link on my bio. Thank you.